Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and on today's episode of The Hypnotist, I'm actually joined by a guest hypnotist. And if you're from the world of hypnotherapy, you probably know this name because I would say a legend, a name from the industry. I'm joined by the very special guest, Bob Burns. Welcome, Bob.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Very good indeed. Very good. So obviously, I've known about you for a very long time. For those people listening that aren't familiar with you, what's the best way of them getting to know you and your way into the world of hypnosis?
Okay, so I have a website, Bob Burns, hypnotherapy.com, simple as that. A lot of people contact me online. Well, that's probably the best way to find out. Bob Burns, hypnotherapy.com. They can read all about me on there. It's a wonderful write-up. I wrote it myself. I took my time, made sure it was special. And basically, that's it. In a scattered nutshell, that's how you'll find out a little bit about me.
Absolutely. So how did you get into the world of hypnosis? What was the kind of the catalyst for you joining this niche, strange industry that we call hypnosis?
Well, it's quite funny that you asked that question because I met you for the first time just recently in London. But I think I told the story of how I used to be with this band called Cockney Haggis. And it was way back then in 1973, where we were taking our gear in to play in this place, the Queen's Hotel in Aberdeen. And the drummer turned around to this lady who was standing at the door, and he says, for some reason, he doesn't know. To this day, he's no idea why he said it, but he said, don't look into his eyes, he's an hypnotist. And she looked at him and she looked at me when I said, sleep. And I caught her head just before it hit the ground. My band were terrified because they didn't know I was a hypnotist. I was really terrified because I didn't know I was a hypnotist. And the question I asked back in the UK convention where we met was, who hypnotized the lady? Her name was Liz. Did I hypnotize Liz, or was it the drummer who hypnotized Liz by giving her that suggestion, or was it Liz who hypnotized Liz? And for anyone watching this, you might find it interesting to know that when I asked the audience, who do you think hypnotized Liz? It's a very intelligent audience. Well, nearly every hand went up to say that Liz hypnotized Liz, apart from Gary Turner, who likes an argument. Bless him, good old Gary. But it was a good argument. Yeah, Gary's a great guy. He knows his stuff. So that was it. So that was that's 51 years ago. And since then, I came through. I did a lot. I travelled a bit I got involved in hypnosis at the same time I was doing my first psychology degree, training to be an assistant psychologist, and I'm doing hypnoanalysis back in the day when I thought hypnoanalysis was wonderful. Regress somebody to cause, got to fix them, hasn't it? Makes sense at the time. I thought the argument's wonderful. I still have a great argument on that today. And at the same time, I was going out at night time, hypnotizing, doing hypnosis shows here and in the continent. So I learned a lot by hypnotizing lots of people, and I did street hypnosis and so on and so forth. But mainly I am a hypnotherapist who works in a small room with a person. I am a therapist. And although I do lots of work, I'm not a trainer per se. I don't have a hypnosis academy. I just do workshops. I like the workshops, and I think you'll probably already know this, Adam. To train with me in the past, you had to come to my home, you had to stay a couple of nights, and you would go with me into my live sessions. You'd see me working with strangers. I think that's the best way to do it. To learn this stuff, you go and see the guy who's training you working with a total and complete stranger. And it's scary as hell, because the person who's telling you they're good, well, let's find out. press play. Let's see how you get on with this total stranger. And they get to see me hypnotizing somebody, and I look fantastic. And they get to see me failing miserably, and I look like shit. And that's the way it should be, because they get to know that it doesn't work all the time. So again, very, very briefly, that's me. That's my history. That's what I've been doing. And right now I'm back in England. This will be my last move, I suppose. We're back living with family down in Southampton. And I'm I think it would be fair to say I've moved into semi-retirement. I'm not seeing as many clients now, and it's nearly all online, which, much to my surprise, worked exactly the same. I used to argue against that, but I've just discovered it works exactly the same as being with somebody.
Absolutely.
I just don't get to pick their pockets, which is a nightmare. I'm all over it.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I found fascinating is the way in which you kind of work with people is very different from, let's say, how a lot of people do training, and that is they do kind of structured courses and they do the academies and they're talking about kind of techniques. Your approach is much more like the kind of the master and the apprentice. It's kind of see them in action, see them doing stuff. And you're going to learn a lot more from actually kind of seeing them where the rubber meets the road and actually kind of in the point of interacting with someone than perhaps talking about theoretical kind of concepts. Was that a deliberate kind of choice of teaching in that way, or you just found it was an easier way to do it because you felt very comfortable working with clients one-on-one?
Yeah, great question. So I used to be a salesperson. I used to sell. I used to work in the world of finance, and I became quite good. I became the number one in the UK for this company, and I ended up becoming the boss of the company. I ended up becoming the international sales manager. And I did all of that, first of all, when I was in training. I went to all the training that everybody else went to. And I discovered that I wasn't great at sales. All my friends thought it would be great. But Bob, you'll be sand to the Arabs and snow to the Eskimos, the Inuits, or whatever. But it never worked like that. What we discovered was I was an okay guy. I could make people laugh in a pub. That was who I was. I wasn't a salesman, because when it came to the part when I asked them for the money, I just couldn't do that. Or they said no. So I had to learn how to do that. So instead, apart from all the training I got in the class, I went to a guy called John Copeland, who was a top salesman in the world of a company called Combined International. And I said, I don't know why I can't do this. I don't know why, but I heard you've come back to the company. And I want to ask, can I come and train with you for a week? I don't want any commissions. I just want to watch you. And he stared at me for ages. And he says, I'll give you a morning. Next Monday, be in Union Street in Aberdeen, beside the Queen, the statue, 10 o'clock. I'll pick you up there. Yeah, one morning, that should be you. And he turned around and started talking to the guy again. He was very bad-mannered. So I went out with John and I watched him work for the morning. And I thought, oh my God, this is how the guys do it. And it was completely different from how I'd been trained. So I got to watch this guy nonstop. And John and I became wonderful friends. 3 months later, I became the man of the quarter, and John came in second. How lovely is that? And the main reason why I was the man of the quarter and John came in second is because I just copied everything that John told me to do, but started earlier than him each day and worked later. So it's science. It's bloody science. I do what he does, but I do more of it. And I come in first and he came in second. He says to me, it's great, isn't it? He says, if I win, I win. But if you win, Bob, everybody knows I trained you. So I look fantastic. And we became wonderful friends for many, many years. So that's a good analogy, is it not? When I come into hypnotherapy and I see all these guys going with a few £1,000s to sit in a room for a couple of weeks to train with people, nice deep breath, sleep, deeper, deeper. And that's how it works, really. You tell them not to do it again, and they don't do it again. That's not how it's not how it worked for me. So I said, well, it'd be good if they came to see what I do. Now, the interesting thing there, Adam, is it becomes really interesting now because it almost looks like that, does it? Well, go and see this guy. You go to his house, you stay for a couple of nights, he cooks for you, he drinks wine with you in the evening, and you go and watch him do his magic, this stuff that he does. But everyone got a shock to discover that I am completely structured. I am completely and absolutely, I'm riddled with organized sales talks. Yeah, I'm completely scripted, and they get the shock of their life. What I used to do, in fact, I would do the thing, let's say the first 3 clients of a day, and they see that, the second one, he did it almost like he did for the first one. And the third one, it's kind of what he does. And the fourth one, when I tell him to take a nice deep breath, close your eyes. If you were sitting with me being trained on him, you'd see me go into a drawer and take out a sheet of paper. I'd say, and as you allow your eyes to close, you allow yourself just to drift deeper and deeper all the way down. Always considering, and you go, oh my God, he's reading it, but he's reading what he's already done 3 times. So he doesn't need to read it. So instead of me telling them, I showed them. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it does.
So don't tell them, show them what you do. But then I would insist that they would become scripted. By the way, when I say I'm scripted, I don't walk about speaking like this. I'm talking about on the initial session only. On the initial session only, for me, best to be scripted. Anything else, yeah, then you can fly with the seat of your pants and what have you. And just another interesting thing for people watching this, there'll be many of them saying, oh, no, I don't follow a script. I go with the flow. I do my thing. And they don't. I've been with them. They're fantastic. They're completely scripted. But guess what, Adam? They don't even know they're scripted. It's fascinating to watch. They do all these things, then they say this, then they say that, and they're brilliant. They just don't realize that they're scripted.
And that's the thing. It's the unconscious competence, isn't it? Once you get good at something, you kind of do it without thinking about it. And I've noticed that with my, because I publish a lot of my sessions that I do. And to begin with, very, very varied, trying lots of different kind of things. But you find out that there is a way of doing an induction that works for an individual. There's a way of taking them through a process. So there is a lot of, I would say, unconscious scripts in my stuff, but equally, I'm a big believer that the people where they're beholden to a script becomes like a comfort blanket. Their attention is on the script, not on the person in front of them, and then that can be a problem because you can't calibrate and kind of work with the individual that we're working with. But that kind of initial session, it seems like that gives you such a strong foundation because you're getting so much from that. And because it's been done so many times, you're able to kind of notice what comes back in reaction because your variable is constant, their variable is different. So you're going to be able to calibrate so much from you doing the same thing, but them reacting to what you do differently.
Yeah. And a great example of that is one guy that came to see me. He's passed away now, bless him. I'm talking about you. He'll be fine. So he came to stay with me, and one night he was just one of the most gentlest, loveliest men I've ever known. And we just finished dinner at my home, and he comes from I think he was maybe a Yorkshire lad or something like that. He says to me, "Can I just tell you something, Bob? I like your opinion on something." I said, "Yeah, sure." He went into his briefcase. He pulled out this wad of papers. He says, "This is a thing that I'm doing. I want you to tell me what you would you allow me to show?" I said, "Yes, please show it to me." And he went, "All right." So he started doing the bit, and you've got to allow yourself to drift. And when you do that, you feel yourself just like it's just like you're going down. And I said, and I'm looking at the papers. I'm thinking, they're this thick. I'm going to be with him for an hour and a half here, and this is horrendous. So I says, "Can I just do something for a second to show you? You tell me if it's any value." He says, "Sure." So I took the papers from him, and that's as you do that. You drift, you dream, you float, you allow yourself to just. And I says to him, "How's that sounding?" He says, "Well, that's right. That sounds lovely. What is it you're doing that I'm not doing?" I said, "Well, I'm hesitating, and I'm modulating, and I'm emphasizing. Yeah, my God, my voice is going up. And then it's going down." And it seems like it's kind of interesting, but it's almost like I'm cheating, isn't it? And he says, "Oh, that's lovely." So this guy had a script. It was probably a great script, but he had no idea how to use a script. And the one golden thing about a script is never read it. Learn it. Don't read the script. And I have to tell you, in the early days, when I did hypnoanalysis, that was the idea. The idea was to get them to close their eyes so I could get my papers with the script. Nobody was smiling. I've got a trickle of sweat coming down. I'm just a bag of nerves. I don't know what I'm doing. One thing I shouldn't have been doing, I shouldn't have been doing therapy. I should have been in jail. So as soon as they close their eyes, I very gently pull up my paper. I've only got one worry now, Adam, one worry. When I get to the bottom of this page, I'm going to have to take it from the top and put it to the bottom. And I know it's going to make this noise. Shh. That's the noise of papers, rubbing against papers. And in my head, when I go, shh, they're thinking, "Wait a minute, he's using a script. He's just reading us. He doesn't know what he's talking about." That's how bad I was. And it's right enough that it would make that noise. So I used to cough a lot when I changed the sheets. So that everybody thought I had the flu or something. And allow yourself to drift and dream and float. It was just a nightmare. I was just useless. But I didn't quit. So by being useless and not quitting, I could just get better. But finally I said, "I've got to stop reading this shit. I've got to learn it." Yeah.
I tell you what's interesting, because I feel like there is an analogy between learning to drive and learning hypnosis, in the sense that, when you get your license, for me, that's where you learn. That's where the learning to drive begins. At that point, you've got enough, but you don't really have any like real road experience, road awareness, any of that kind of stuff. But you've got your license, so you can now actually kind of be on the roads, and then that's where you really kind of learn how to drive properly. And I think there's a lot of people that become course junkies, and they go from one conference to the next conference, and they're constantly learning, getting new certificates and qualifications, but they're not working with enough clients to actually kind of become good at those particular things. And I always think that you can't learn to swim by reading a book. You've got to jump in the pool, and hypnosis is a bit like that. You've got to do it to really learn it, if that makes sense. What's your kind of optimal way of learning, Bob? You know, because obviously we're always learning. Do you feel like you learn from observing other people, or from like difficult clients that become a challenge?
Well, it's interesting. You said, do I learn from observing other people? That's one way to word it. Here's another way to word it: copying, which is exactly the same thing, of course. But in my little world where I came from, I'll just copy them. Then I'll find out they've got other stuff. They've got things they call rebuttals. Let me write that down. What's a rebuttal? So I discovered the magic of having a rebuttal. Now, as you probably know, I'm also trained as a magician. I worked as a professional magician for many years. And the difference between a good magician and one not so good is a good one makes exactly the same amount of mistakes, but he covers them by rebuttaling, if you like. He's got what we call outs. So we do something, but we use the out, and nobody knows we've got that wrong. That happens all the time in the therapy room with me. So for example, I've got this thing. I think it's maybe worth mentioning to your people. I've got this thing that I suggest everybody should learn a script. Script for me is like getting on a train in Aberdeen and going to London and going through all the stops in Haven, Manchester, York. I get off in time. I get back on the train in time. The rails go there to the nearest inch. They get me to London in time. All I've got to do is stay in the train to stay in the tracks, and that's it. That for me is a script. Pretty simple analogy. Now, every now and again, I'll make a mistake. I'm completely scripted, but I'll make a mistake. And you think, what's going to happen then? So that's an interesting one. And I remember working for this company where we had to learn this script and this particular thing, or you didn't get home after 2 weeks. So it's a Friday afternoon, you pitch to the manager, and you've done it. Or you have to stay an extra week. So it's terrifying. And I'm in, it's 3 o'clock on a Friday, and I'm making a mess of it. And I'm sweating. And the guy said, what is this? Well, I know if we don't get this right, we don't get to go home. And the guy said, we lied to you. We tell you that. You're young guys, you're all in your 20s. You'll be out shagging every night. So we lie to you. We tell you if you can't do it, you don't get home. You're going home. You're on the train with me at 5:30. Don't worry about that. So now I'm angry. And now I'm so angry, I just can't get the script right. I'm getting everything wrong. And he looked at me, and he must have been thinking, nothing's going to save this man. And then he said this to me, Adam, and I've never forgot it. It's beautiful. He says, let me tell you a story. And the story he told me was this. He said, once upon a time, there were 3 bears. I was a daddy bear, I was a mummy bear, and there's a little baby bear. He even made his voice go funny. I was furious. I wanted to smack the guy. It was just, he's now taking the piss. He told me the story of how they lived in the edge of a forest and they all went into town, and while they were going, a little girl comes along called Goldilocks. She walks in, Daddy Bear's chair's too hard, Mommy Bear's chair is too soft, Baby Bear's chair is just right. He's doing the voicing again. Again, I'm getting angry. And then he said this to me. She went into the kitchen, and there were 3 bowls of cornflakes. And I said, porridge. And he said, I beg your pardon? I said, it was 3 bowls of porridge. He says, how do you know that? And I said, well, I've heard the story before. And he said, excuse my language, that's right, you daft bastard. You've heard the story before. But none of them have heard the story before. They'll only think you've got it wrong if you say, I've got that wrong. Now, do you think you could handle that? And I wanted to kiss him. I absolutely wanted to kiss him. So I'm scripted, and I make mistakes, but I never tell anybody. I just move through them. Yeah. So the skills and the skills within the skills that can get us there. There's rebuttals and there's outs. There's a whole baggage of stuff. Right back to what you said. You pass your driving test, you tear up the plates. Now you can learn how to drive. Yeah. Absolutely. And that'll be all the stuff you pick up then afterwards.
Yeah. It is. And I think also like what you've called copying there, fairly depreciatingly, other people would call modeling from the NLP world. They would say like, absolutely, figure out the structure of what people do well, and then copy that. And then once you've copied that, you've got a really good, base level, then you can refine. And I think so many people are trying to kind of create the new things, but actually if people are good at something, they're good at something for a reason. copy as much of that as you can. And I think a lot of the, if you look at the big painters, how they originally got good at painting is they tried to replicate the masters of their time, replicate first and then find their own style afterwards. But it was by trying to kind of get to that standard by copying other people's techniques that they were able to kind of improve on that. And I think it's such a useful way. And I think theory, sometimes things get lost, but if you copy what someone can do and how they do it, then obviously you've got a really good kind of benchmark there. Tell me more about where the Swan came from, because some people, I've used it in a couple of my podcasts, talking about kind of like a different version of talking to the unconscious mind, ideomotor responses. Where did the concept, the idea for the Swan come from, and how have you find the best place to kind of use that? What kind of conditions or situations?
So I use the Swan with just about every client that comes through the door. We'll do that. It's harder online, but not too difficult. It's doable. But how this one came about was I used to do Tai Chi every morning down at the beach in Montrose. So Saturday morning was my favourite. I do a longer set on a Saturday morning. And I'd come back for 10 o'clock because then everybody in the UK knows that at 10 o'clock there'd be a cooking programme on TV. We'd all sit and watch James Martin or whoever it was. So I've done my Tai Chi down at the beach. I've come back. It's a beautiful morning. And I'm sitting watching it. And I put my fingers through my hair like that. And I lean back in the chair like that to watch the telly. And I happen to just glance and I see my hand like this. And I look at my hand and I say out loud, as it happens, you look like a swan, don't you? And I smile to myself and my hand goes, yeah. And I go, whoa, that is an ideomotor response, but I don't do ideomotor responses. I don't have that skill that these other people have. I says, try and do that again. Boom. And I says, can you do anything else? Yes. I said, well, yeah, but you're just waving. Can you look at me? And the whole hand and arm goes, boom. Now, at this point, it gets a little bit weird, yeah? It's 10 o'clock, the sun's shining. Maybe if this was midnight, and I was in the room on my own, I might get a different feeling. It might be a little bit scary because it's me, but I don't think it's me, but it has to be me. So here we go. I'm a psychologist who's also into magic, and I am, by the way, into magic stuff as well. So I'm balancing these two together and it's not working out. So I shout my wife to come downstairs. She comes down. I say, watch this. And it works. I expect it not to work because the psyche world is like that. It'll mess with you. It'll do something marvelous. And then when you go to show somebody else, they'll go, nah, I'm not going to work. So it works, but it won't work with her. But my wife said, why don't you go into on Monday morning, try it with clients and see if you can do something with that. And it worked far better than ever. So then I go online and I tell the world how wonderful it is. Let's be honest. I tell the world how wonderful I am. And a guy called Felix Economachus, do you know Felix? He's down there in London.
Yeah.
Felix, the psychologist. He called me, can I say the word? I think I can. He called me a cock online. And he's quite an angry Greek, Felix Economachus. So we had strong words. And he said, well, follow that street. He said, why don't you come down to London? I'll get a lot of psychologists and doctors in the room. You can show us all how wonderful you are. I said, well, just send the tickets. And of course, he sent the ticket. Very annoying, and I've no way out. So I jump in a flight. I go down to London. Felix picks me up, puts me into a room, and it was one of these things that it was heavenly. The whole room started moving. They're all using the F word and shouting and screaming. I thought, Jesus! And of course, while all this is happening, I'm sitting in the middle. You'll get this. I'm sitting in the middle, thinking, I don't think this has got to do with me. I think they're smiling and nodding and looking at me and thinking how wonderful I am, but I don't know really what I'm doing. That'll become quite interesting. There's another thing that happens here, Adam, is this. I thought that I've had for a long time. My wife, who used to be a uni lecturer in psychology, sociology, what have you, she's made a statement once. She said to me, remember that everything in this world is a construct. And I thought, what a stupid thing to say, till I thought about it, and I promise you she's right. Or come back and give us some arguments. Every single thing in this world is a construct. It's a construct that's been constructed. So that means that, well, obviously the swan's a construct, but that's my argument. The only thing I know of in this world that isn't a construct is the swan. That sounds ridiculous. But the reason why I say that is I didn't construct it. I was watching dancing. I was watching cooking. I put my fingers through my hair. I leant back and I just said, you look like a swan, don't you? And this bloody thing went and my whole life gets changed. So I now need to do things with it, do I? Let's look at what I did, Adam. Let's look at the genius of Bob Burns. Yeah, why they flew me around the world several times. I did 4 things. I discovered I need to do something with this because my weekend workshop will be over in 5 minutes. I need to find another 15 hours and 55 minutes. Where's that going to come from? So at the start off, I had a twitch, I had a turn, I had a wave, and I had a return. That's all I had. Guess what? Today it's still the same. That's a swan. If anyone's watching this, good luck. That's it. That's all you need. A twitch, a turn, a wave, and a return. So I constructed that movements within it, but the swan itself just arrived on my shoulder and not on yours. What a shit deal for other people that it never arrived on their shoulders, it arrived on mine. So I get a lot of credit for something that I never constructed. I never thought up. There's no beautiful mind working on that. I just got to travel around the world with my English wife, spending money in jewelry and shoes. And, oh, we mustn't go there. Anyway, that's how the swan came about. Now, after that, of course, it got advanced to something else, was it? To one day when I was sitting with a client, I thought, and I says to the part, so if you can do all of this, if you wanted to, I'm not asking you to do, and again, here we go. This is scripted words so that you don't get messed up. I'm not asking you to, but if you wanted to, do you think you could speak to me? Because if you get that mixed up, lots of challenges happen. And it goes, yes. And I says, okay, would you like to try that? Yes. I say to the client, are you happy? Because they're wide awake, remember, looking at me going, okay. So if you could try and say, I don't know, try and say hello, see what happens. So next thing, hello. Or even scarier, hello, Mr. Burns. That is scary, because that doesn't seem to be like this woman who's 68 years old, 5'2", if your little voice like that. Hello, Mr. Burns. So that's why I called it direct voice. And that comes from the days of the mediums who used to talk in what they call direct voice. It's not really, of course, I don't think, but there you go. So now we have this thing called direct voice. And that's when it exploded into something else. That's when the part, let's call it parts therapy. That's where the part, let's call it that, started doing things that they don't normally do in parts therapy. They'd argue with the client and me about other things. And then we started getting other things that we don't have time to go into right now. And it would only confuse people, I think, and make me look stupid. But we do have areas where the part will come and we'll talk in a language that they don't speak in. And that's really, really interesting when that happens. Science will actually accept that. They'll even accept that it might be DNA. Yeah, maybe my great-great-grandfather spoke Spanish. I don't know that. And suddenly I'm saying, "Hola, ¿qué tal? Quiero una mesa para cuatro, tecla patana, por favor." And I don't speak Spanish. So that's where it becomes interesting, but extremely interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I think just for the purpose of people listening rather than kind of seeing this perhaps on YouTube. When Bob's talking about the swan there, he's got his elbow on a flat surface and then kind of like the hand arched over, so it kind of looks like the hand is the head of a swan, and the kind of the forearm is the neck of the swan, just to kind of give some context there. And if you haven't heard of ideomotor responses before, it's good to kind of connect it to something that most people can relate to. And I don't know if you have a different anecdote, Bob, but the one that I use is most people that drive have been in the passenger seat, and they've been in the passenger seat when the driver hits the brakes later than they would, and their right foot twitches like they're pushing for the brakes. Now, they're not choosing to do that, but their foot is absolutely moving in that point, and that's kind of like an ideomotor response. Do you have any anecdotes to kind of get people, to pace people, to kind of let them know what an ideomotor response is?
Well, I've got a juju doll. I often use this, and if I get really pissed off with somebody, I stick it up their arse. And I watch them jump. Okay, that's not completely true. I used to do this thing. I'm trying to think what it's called, and I can't think of it right now. You might know, Adam. It's where you get a fake arm, and you put it down underneath a cloth to the side, and you take their left arm away, but you put the fake hand in there.
That's true, yeah. But
people would have seen this with a hammer.
Yeah.
I don't know why I stopped doing that, because it's fantastic. I haven't done it for a couple of years. So that's a really great ideomotor response, where, as you know, they'll claim they felt the pain as well.
And they do it with a feather as well, don't they? They have the false hand. They put the
feather.
feather.
It starts with a feather, then a touch, and so on and so forth. That becomes interesting. Yes, that's it again for anybody listening. It's great, is it, where we suddenly slide into a situation we never meant to talk about, but it's more interesting maybe than the subject itself. So I got this finger here. I don't know so if you can see that, but it's a really bad gouge there.
Yeah.
And it was a knife, and it took the vein out. It was really bad, and it never ever healed. So for years it never healed. So I would just touch it against anything, just touch, just pain, just horrendous. And I went to see this guy in the Southampton General, and I was in the waiting list with a nurse, and I was talking to the nurse about this. And guess what? She says to me, "I'll tell you what I do, love. I would go home, get a piece of silk, and just touch it, just let the silk flow over it like that. Get the silk, then get a feather." So you now got silk, then you've got a feather, then get a piece of cloth, then get a piece of rougher cloth, and then get a matchbox of safety matches. Yeah, that's the thin one. Then get a matchbox of the rough sandpaper and put that over it. And bit by bit, it learns things and it can handle it. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, this woman is an idiot. I went home, I did it, a couple of days. Just incredible. I'm queuing to go and see the master, and this nurse is here, and she just fixes my life like that. But it's just a great story, yeah? It's one of my favourite stories.
It's amazing.
Get a piece of silk, get a cloth, get a matchbox, sorted, yeah? So we're back to, again, maybe some form of muscle memory, maybe. I've been through this before, I know how to handle it now, and so on and so forth, I don't know. That's why I'm not a great guitarist, by the way. That's the barring finger. And that's my excuse. That's why I'm not a brilliant guitarist.
Fair enough. When I've used the Swan, I tend to use it if it feels like there is some kind of conflicted part. So I kind of link it to kind of parts therapy and allow the Swan to kind of form part of that part. Now, I might be kind of completely taking your kind of protocol and putting it into a different kind of principle. But do you find it's useful when it plays the role of some kind of conflicted or disassociated part, or it's more just a communication channel?
Well, I'm really, I'm not sure of the adjective to describe me. I'll go with weird because it's kind of okay. My earlier life was sitting in dark rooms trying to make contact with the dead. Yeah, I trained as a medium many years ago, and I'm not, by the way. But I spent a lot of time with some fascinating people. Most of them are shut eyes. That means their eyes are closed to the fact that nothing was going on. But every now and again, I get a couple of really special people, and that would happen again. Come all that years to this thing called parts therapy right now. In parts therapy, I can tell you one thing, every medium in the world will just smile and go, "Oh yeah." Because they'll say, that's what I do. Or you call it parts therapy, do you? It's interesting, isn't it? The difference, of course, we are claiming that parts therapy is within our subconscious. You know, the therapist doing what we do never claims the part to be real. It's a part within the subconscious. Now, along comes the Swan, and maybe there's an argument against that, because in parts therapy, even then, I could contradict myself again, even in pure parts therapy, by just talking to them, I think I could get a part to talk to me in a foreign language, eventually, now and again. And again, we can then argue what that is. What is that foreign language? Yeah, what happened there? Are they pretending? Is it DNA? Is it a thing they remembered when they were small? But it becomes interesting. But it's all a form of another part, is it? Here's one of my favorites, Adam, when I'm talking to somebody. I'll do this nearly all the time when somebody comes to see me. Within the opening 5 minutes, I'm meeting somebody in my therapy room, yeah? So I'll let them go in and tell me what they're doing. I do my bit because I'm a professional, aren't I, Adam? I smile a lot. I nod my head. They like it when I nod my head. I put my fingers through my hair again. I play with my goatee beard because I think that looks clever. I only got this thing because it looks clever. And I go, I make that noises. And then it's time for me to speak. And I'll say this then. So what you're telling me is you kind of got this thing that you like to get rid of, but you can't get rid of it. Would that be right? And they smile and they go, yeah. And I say, watch, this is what I do. So I've got this thing. It's my phone, but I don't want it. So I just do this. And it's gone. But this is what you do. If what you're telling me is right, I've got this phone, I don't want it, so I'll just throw it over here. Shit, it doesn't seem to be gone. And it seems to be you. It's almost like it's all inside you, but it's totally outside your control. Would that be right? And Adam, I swear to you, always they smile and go, yeah, that's exactly me. It's a lovely analogy that I just fell into one day because my phone was there. And that's it. They just can't throw the bloody thing away. So my next line is, well, in that case, I'm wasting my time talking to you. You've already seen all the experts. You've told me about that. You've seen psychiatrists now. I've got to get you to close your eyes and do nothing. Don't try and help me. Don't try and fight me. We'll just see what happens. You'll hear me talking to this other part. You think it's all going crazy. But at the end of it, there might be a very good chance that you're suddenly able to do this. And it might be the easiest thing you've ever done in your life. Adam, all of that is scripted. It's all completely scripted. I don't even know that it's scripted anymore until you force me to think about it. Yeah,
it's great lines though, because a lot of it has this kind of you're priming them for a change can be so easily if you can work with a part that is willing to let it go. And I think, you know, what I like about working with people that have done this for a very long time is that you've figured out in an evolutionary way what works and what doesn't, and then you get rid of all the stuff that doesn't work, keep what does. And if that becomes scripts and sentences and phrases and those kind of things, there's some magic in that because it's worked more often than it hasn't, if that makes sense.
We all know them, don't we? We've got Jimmy or Mary around the corner. They sit there, they do their knitting, or he loads his pipe. They do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. But when you've got a problem, you just go and sit down with them, and for some reason, in 5 minutes, they're going to bloody fix you. And they've no idea how they did it. And there's going to be lines and phrases that they've used and dumped and took back in again. Well, for 50 years or what have you. Yeah. Good therapy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, speaking of therapy, you're going to do an example for us. You know, maybe it's some of the bits that you've kind of scripted before or just things that you find useful. And, you know, I like doing this kind of stuff because I be on the receiving end of this kind of stuff. So is there anything that you want to kind of pre-frame or kind of explain before you get into it? Or?
Okay. I had a few minutes to think about this. So I've got a good friend of mine. He was at the convention we were at a couple of months ago. He believes that everybody and every human being who's ever lived is anxious. They worry about anxiety. I kind of believe that. That's my experience over many years. Even if we don't know we're anxious, there'll be that. So, and I believe that I see a lot of clients. Maybe you do too. They come to me. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing major wrong with them. Especially a lot of Americans. Americans love therapists, yeah? So I've got Americans that have been clients of mine for a couple of years now. It's almost as if I hypnotize them to keep coming back with money, bunches of money from me. And I joke about this with them, but they like the session. They just enjoy the session. So I'll do right now a standard session that I would do with somebody who just wants to relax. How about that? They haven't brought anything to my door at all. But I'll also make a claim, and the claim I'll make is that this is a great session to use with just about anybody. And by the way, I really believe that. So if I sit down with anybody right now, I would do this with them, and later I'm claiming they'll feel better afterwards. It's just a great session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you, then I got to tell you to relax. Well, just let's get on with it and see what happens. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Obviously, this will be shorter than I would normally do, but everything will be in there that we need to be in. And we're just going to do it like this, are we? Because this is a bit we haven't planned. So we're just going to do it like this. I'm going to imagine you're just a client, and we're just going to go from there, yeah? And we're going to assume that before we start, everything's fine in your life, but you've agreed with me that, yeah, it's a strange thing. Sometimes we all get a little bit anxious about this, about that, the next thing. Me included, all of us. And we'll go with that and see where we are. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, Adam. For anyone else watching this, just let me say that I always say the same things when we're going online with anybody. I ask them if they're alone in the house. Then I ask them to close their eyes. I'm not going to do this in this case. But then I tell them that if there was a fire in the house, their eyes would open. If there was gas, their eyes would open, a smell of gas. It could be in the house or out in the house. Maybe they don't have gas. If anybody walks into this room at that time, your eyes will open. And if you don't hear my voice for longer than 10 seconds, your eyes will automatically open. I'm never quiet for that long. Is that okay? They say yes. So that's the safety factors I put in. Having said that, I'm saying that, but I'm not going to put it in now because it takes me a lot longer to say that. So we'll just go straight for it, assuming we've done that. Is that okay? Okay, Adam, all I need you to do is sit back. And by the way, here's my induction. It's the easiest induction in the world. You'll like it, I promise you. Adam, just take a nice deep breath, close your eyes and just relax. There we go. It's as simple as that. All I want you to do is sit back, just riff and dream and float and tune into my voice. Just the timbre of my voice. It's just the vibration of my voice. And as you do that, Adam, I simply want you to remember that I don't want you to help me, but I don't want you to fight me. Just allow. There's the word. I want you to allow all this work to do, and we'll see where we go from there. I think you'll really enjoy it. I want you right now to concentrate on your heels and tell your heels to just relax and just allow it to happen. And as you allow your heels to relax, you allow that same relaxation to go all along the soles of your feet, right into your toes. How about that? Every nerve, every fiber, every muscle, just completely letting go right there. Feels absolutely fantastic. And now you simply allow that same feeling to come all the way back to your heels and right up and into your ankles. I know you can allow it to go up and into your calves, the skin, the hair, the bones, and right up now and into your knees, the gristle, the tendons. And you just tell them to let go, just to relax. And you allow, here's that word again. I say it a lot, don't I? You just allow that same, you don't try and make it happen. You don't try and fight it. You simply allow. You allow that same relaxation to go up through the long muscles of your thighs into your hips, around your hips, into the small of your back, right there. And now around and into your lower tummy, right there. A lot of the Aborigines believe this is where your brain is. Can you believe that? Highly intelligent source of people telling you that that's probably where we get that feeling, the gut feeling, right there. And you tell that bit, your lower tummy, to just relax. And you allow that same relaxation to go up through your diaphragm, into your heart, and into your lungs. Your lungs are breathing perfectly. Your heart is beating absolutely spot on. It goes into your shoulders now. And it's almost like I step through the screen at this point. You've got an imagination. You can imagine me stepping through that screen and walking behind you and taking my hands and placing them very gently onto your shoulders, just like that. And my energy, just two human beings making contact, my energy makes contact with you. It's a healing energy. And you can allow that to flow right through you as that relaxation goes from your upper arms to your elbows, to your forearms, to your wrists, to your hands, to your fingertips. You might even feel a heartbeat in one particular finger. Yeah, just like that, just like a heartbeat in one particular finger. But you allow this relaxation to go up to your shoulders again, crossing into your chest. And all I want you to do at this point, Adam, is take one nice deep breath all the way in for me. And as you let it go, you go 10 times deeper. You just relax completely, but you stay in the chair. You don't fall off the chair. You feel fantastic. And this relaxation goes into your shoulders again and into the back of your neck and the back of your head and the top of your head and your forehead and your eyes and the muscles around your eyes and your cheeks and your lips and your mouth, right down your throat again to your chest and right down into your lower tummy. And you just drift and you just dream and you just float and you just let me, Bob Burns, you allow me to take you to a wonderful, wonderful healing place. That's all we're going to do. And I want you to allow right now any forms of anxiety you have ever had in your life. Any anxiety you have ever had in your life, because this is the first day for the rest of your life, you allow that anxiety to leave your body now, just like smoke spiraling away from a small campfire, just getting higher and higher and higher up through the ceiling, past the clouds, past the moon and the stars to the far edges of the universe. Is just going simple as that. Same with worry. We've all got worries of the past. We've got some worries of the present for sure. And many of us have got worries of the future. We're going to take all of these in a bundle, Adam. We're just going to let them go. So all worries of the past, present, and future, we just allow them to leave now. And they float higher and higher till they too are just simply gone. And you know, Adam, it's a funny thing, but every human being who's ever lived, me included, we all have feelings of guilt and shame and remorse. Sometimes these other human beings, they put it on us, do they? They say we should feel guilty about this or remorseful about that. And we're thinking, well, I don't think I've anything to feel guilty about. But before we know it, we're feeling guilty. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But don't worry about that. Everybody's got something to feel guilty about. And sometimes we are guilty and we say, I'm really sorry about what happened back then. I want to let that go. And that's okay. This is the day we get to do that. So any old feelings of guilt, or feelings right now of guilt, shame and remorse, we let it go now. This is the day. We just let that stuff go. We let it float away from us again, like I said, just like smoke, spiraling away from a small campfire, just getting higher and higher and higher to the far edges of the universe, where it's just going. Leaving us feeling just absolutely fantastic. And all we do now, Adam, I leave you right there, and I take a kind of a sidestep. I talk to a part that's along with Adam. Hey, you could be a genie, you could be a prince, you could be a traveler in life with Adam, and you have been for thousands of years. You can be a main guide. I don't care. You could just be a part within his subconscious, but I'm talking to you. This part that's been looking after Adam all this time. No one's ever thanked you. Can I do that now? Thank you. Thank you so much for taking care of this young man and giving him the life that he's got, making him choose the decisions, and he's choosing because he needs to choose these decisions, simply to do the right thing, only because it's the right thing to do. Thank you for everything you've done. And I give you, I bless him. We want to do just a couple more things with Adam if we can here. We got rid of the anxieties and then worries, the feelings of guilt, shame, and remorse, but we want to place something in there. And let's go right through his crown chakra at the very top of his head. And I want to pour in something that Adam's never heard of. I want to pour in some anthropal. I want to pour in some anthropal that comes from the banks of the River Spey in the Highlands of Scotland. It's a beautiful, magical thing. It just pours. It's whiter than white. It's almost silver, and it flows and it glows. And it's like a liquid, but it's just like a light. It goes in through a complete, entire part of his brain, down to his amygdala, and it goes right through all of his body, cleansing every single part and healing. And along with that, we put in 1,000 cc's of confidence and happiness. How about that? That's all we want. That's all we need. I will take care of the rest. We just want confidence and happiness and beating more through his entire being, just allowing that to happen, allowing him to feel fantastic. That's it. Just like that. I want to thank you for that. And now we need to do something else, don't we? I need to talk to Adam again. So Adam, we've got rid of anxieties. We've got rid of worries of the past and worries of the present, worries of the future. We've got rid of guilt, shame, and remorse. That's gone to the far edge of the universe. But in its place, we've poured in some anthropal with confidence and happiness. That confidence and happiness will surmount any challenges you can have in the future. So with all the bad stuff gone and the good stuff in, all we do now is I build an impregnable bubble around you. How about that? And it takes this long. Snap of a finger. You now have this impregnable bubble that you are safe in. All the bad stuff is gone. All the good stuff is in. Bad stuff can't get back and the good stuff can't get out. How cool is that? But I leave you with a little warning. It's just a funny thing that happens in people's lives. Every now and again, you'll hear a little knock at the door. It's kind of like that. And it will be that anxiety. Remember that anxiety? It'll be a voice of that anxiety trying to get back in. It does that from time to time. And you'll hear, "It's me. Can I get back?" And that's your job, to just smile and say, "Look, you're just an echo. You're not even real. I've got an impregnable bubble around me. You cannot get back in. You're just an echo. Go, flow, shine, grow, be better. You're going to be great." Now, if the anxiety continues, by the way, all we do, Adam, is this, and it sounds completely crazy, and that's what's wonderful about it. You can do it in your imagination, or you can do it as I do, in real form, but all I want you to do is this. If that anxiety is back knocking again, or that worries, or that feelings of guilt or shame or remorse that aren't even real anymore, all we do is this. We take a nice deep breath all the way in, and we just blow it away. And it simply works. Remember what we talked on earlier? It simply works. We can even laugh at ourselves while doing it. That works even better. But we take a deep breath all the way in, and we just blow it away. And it feels fantastic. And that's how we win. So Adam, I want you to sit back, relax, and remember that you can do this anytime for the rest of your life. You can talk to this wonderful parts within you, real or imagined, but I like to call them real. And you can take care of all challenges you've got and build up the sense you've got within you. And remember, always to safeguard and ensure you have this wonderful impregnable bubble always sealed to make sure that you are who you want to be and can do what you want to do. In a second, I got come all the way up to 5. I got to come all the way back feeling just absolutely brand new, like if I had a 20-hour sleep and a 5-hour massage. So 1, being aware of my voice. 2, taking a nice drink of fresh mountain water. 3, awareness coming back into your body now. And 4, just take a nice deep breath all the way in for me. And in 5, you can open your eyes and you find yourself once again fully clothed, just like before. You might want to try that with your clients. It's lovely. Fully clothed, just like before. They love it.
No, that's amazing, Bob. Really enjoyed that. A fascinating journey, and I love the tonality and the, you're a raconteur, I think is the right phrase. You
I don't know what that means, buddy. So watch it. Right?
You can take people on a journey. That was brilliant. Bob, give us your website again. So if anyone's curious to learn more about you or work with you, that they know how to find you.
Sure. It's simply my name, BOB. BURNS, BOBBURNS, Bob Burns. So it's Bob Burns Hypnotherapy, and my email is bobburns7 at AOL.com. So if anybody wants to contact me direct, although there's an email in there, I'm far happy if you contact me direct at bobburns7 at AOL.com. I reply to every single one within 24 hours.
Perfect. So that's bobburns7 at AOL.com, or check out Bob Burns Hypnotherapy online and you'll see Bob Burns' website there. Bob, it's been an absolute joy to have you on the show today. Thank you very much.
It's been lovely being here. Take care, everybody. All the very best. Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.